lots of different problems. They're all there. You can access in your own time and share with other people. That's what we want. We want you to share, and that's what we're trying to do. So I'm just going to show you a few slides as I'm letting people in, that the people are joining us right at this moment. As I said, this is our season 3. Yep. So this is my good friend, and I'm very, very pleased he's here today. David will be speaking very, very soon. And optimism, you know, some people say the glass is half empty, and some people say the glass is half full. And my question to you is, which sort of a person are you? Do you say it's half full, or do you say it's half empty? Only you can answer that. Only you can answer that. Okay, Jonathan, can you do the disclaimer for me, please?
Yes, I will do that for you, Edgar. Only a professional.
And welcome to the program.
Thank you.
It's very nice.
We now live on YouTube, so you know. Only a professional health practitioner can diagnose or treat medical condition. Any information discussed on the True Temperance International Family Health Show is for educational and informational purposes only. Please continue to seek professional medical advice from your GP or health practitioner regarding any disease you may be suffering from. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we're doing the disclaimer because we don't want anybody to say, you know what, we've been listening to what Adrian's been saying or whoever, and I'm doing that now and I'm in problems, you know. You do need to seek professional medical assistance. If you need to do it, do it. We're not saying, look, because we believe in health and we believe there's a blessing in natural health, there's, all right, you know what, I've got my medication, I'm going to throw it in the bin. And no. We're not saying that. If you need to take your tablets, take your tablets. But we're saying that there's not just one way. There isn't just one way of doing things. You know, you have to be wise in what you do. And I think that's reasonable. Is that reasonable, Jonathan?
Yes, that's very reasonable advice there. And what we are saying is that learn different ways, because like you said, it's not one way. You may find that as you learn, you know, as you educate yourself, as you get the relevant information, you need to come off your tablet. But we are saying do that in a very reasonable and balanced way. In
a controlled way.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to carry on. So we're promoting our health conference, which we did last year, which I believe was a blessing. And I've heard plenty testimonies from the health conference. And I'm inviting you, I'm pointing you, I'm inviting you to come and be part of that blessing. We've got plenty encouraging speakers. We have Sam Davis, Andre Crawford, and he did an excellent job last year. We have some new people as well. So we got Dr. Melbourne doing his stuff for next year, and we also have Mammon Wilson. Now I don't know if you've heard of Mammon Wilson, and he has been on TV. And again, if you go back and look at some of the videos on YouTube, Mammon Wilson has been on our program, and he's done some programs. Now, some would say that he's like the father of medical missionary, to a degree. And I've been to his some of his seminars, and he knows what he's talking about. So all these people have accepted the challenge to be at Kefan Lee. So I'm asking you, are you gonna accept the challenge and come? Also, there's if you notice, there's going to be plenty workshops that we're going to be doing. Financial management, hypertension, obesity, diabetes, physical health, essential oils. Cancer does not mean the end. There's all these different things that we're going to be doing. in one place for 1 week. And Jonathan, would you say it was a blessing?
It was a blessing, Edgar. You said all these things we're going to be doing, and I'm saying most of these things we've done earlier this year, and it truly was a blessing. The testimony speak for itself.
And not only that, we also had live cooking demonstrations as well, which was done by
Alvin McQueen.
Alvin McQueen. Again, a lot of people said they were really blessed by the program. So, and I don't think the program is really expensive either. So I'm going to leave that one there. I'm going to move on, but put it in your diary, the 28th of August to the 3rd of September. And please book. These are some photos from the event. We climbed up to a hill. Well, I didn't, but some did. But they said it was really, really good.
And I was going to say, Edgar, that's the other thing. That's something that for me personally was a takeaway, the exercise, the early morning exercise. Because I came back home and I'm still doing the early morning exercise, which, you know, that was a blessing and a takeaway for me.
And if you notice, all the people on they've all got smiles on. Now, I don't know if that's for the camera, but they've got smiles, yeah? It's another photo, just promoting the play, and the background was really, really nice. It was a blessing. So we're also promoting our website. Now, I'm going to put a disclaimer on the website. It is a work in process, yeah? It's under
construction.
Under construction. But we're trying to say, look, we're going in faith. And I believe that the website will be a blessing. You can be able to contact us. You can give us your testimonies. You can say, yes, I want a book, and we will get back to you. Might not get back to you straight away. You're gonna have to give us time to get back to you, but we will get back to you. So make a note of our website, and you'll see plenty things on there as we go along. Other events will be promoted on the website as well. There's a
detox program.
Program, which is going to be taking place when? December. In December. That will be on there, and there'll be other things there that can be promoted. Yeah. So our season 3, we've called it Hope, Health, Opportunity, Positivity, and Encouragement. Hope. And I think everybody needs a little bit of hope, especially with different things that are happening in society. Bills going up and gas, people afraid to even put the gas on because of how the bills are. Everybody needs some hope. So we thought, well, we're going to title this season 3 Hope. And we just want people to be encouraged. Even when things are going wrong, there's still hope. You know, even when it's raining, there's still hope, because any minute the sun's going to break out. I mean, it's better in a different country. If it was warmer country, you know, but
no, still, I beg to differ with that anyway, Edgar. But hey,
well, you can beg to differ, but I'm saying everybody needs some hope. Yeah. And that's my slides. I'm going to take it off slideshow, and I'm gonna. I don't know if you've got any thoughts that you want to bring in, Jonathan. But if not, Jonathan,
no, I'm happy for you to go ahead. It's just that I don't know if anyone from the last program we did on here wanted to share anything, you know, any takeaway or anything that they practiced from the last program that we did. You could give them that opportunity.
Okay. Okay, Shirley did a demo of sauerkraut, which I thought was very good. I don't know if anybody did that, so that's something that somebody could comment on. Or if there's anybody...
Just to let you know on that point, Edgar, that the sauerkraut is finished.
Okay, okay. Or if there's anybody here that has a testimony, a quick testimony, actually went to Kevin Lee and would like to say something, I'm going to give 20 seconds, 30 seconds for anybody who wants to do that or wants to comment about the last show that we had. I'm just going to give this quickly, and then if not, we're going to move on. So I'll go silent.
Some people have got their microphones connected. Could you talk a little bit about the benefits?
Edgar, I can't see anyone signaling by raise of hand
That's
or
fine.
anything. So
No, that's fine.
happy for you to move on.
Let's move on. So I would like to introduce our speaker for today. Now, it's not in the original format. You know, he's not going to bring out this big presentation and I've got this slide and I'm going to do this and so on. No, it's not going to be like that. As much as that would be nice, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this is because sometimes we do a lot of programs and we have the theory of good health. But what I believe is just as good as the practice of good health, yeah? And the only way that you can have that is through a personal testimony. So at this point, I'm going to introduce Adrian. Good afternoon, Adrian. How are you doing?
Well, I've got no complaints. There's a lot of things you can complain about, but I've got no complaints.
Okay, that's very true. And could you just tell everybody where you're from? You know.
Originally, or where I live now?
Both.
Both? Okay. I was born in Jamaica.
Okay.
And we left Jamaica when I was relatively quite young. We came over to the UK. My father came first, and my mother, myself, and my sister followed. And we came to the UK, and we've been settled in Manchester for most of my life. I've moved around and worked all over the UK and abroad, but my primary location is in Manchester.
Oh, and are you a family man?
Yeah, I'm at home now. My wife is Blossom, and my son is Anthony. I only have one child, but he's the apple of my eye.
All right.
So
All right.
we're all here. We're all here today.
That's good. That's good. And I know that you have the support of your family. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do a quick icebreaker. So, where is your favorite place that you would like to visit?
Venice.
Where?
Venice.
Venice. And why?
It's just a beautiful and tranquil place. You know, my wife and I went there in July of this year for our 35th wedding anniversary. So we decided that, you know, I've been there previously with work, but not necessarily to the tourist areas of Venice.
Okay.
So we went and was there for a week, had a fabulous time, but I like the tranquil nature. That water soothes me. So whenever I find myself in a stressful situation, I just fill a bath and get in a bath, and the sound of water and the movement of water soothes my spirit. So to be in Venice with all the sort of intricate canals that run through the city, and you're hearing the flow of water all the time, and it's an interesting place to see garbage collection, ambulances, police, you know, moving in between the city in the waterways is a really interesting place. So Venice is my favorite place to go to generally.
That's interesting. Some would say it would be Jamaica, but everybody's different, isn't it?
Well, Jamaica, I'm born and bred, and the thing about Jamaica is, since my mother went back in 1981, we've gone back to Jamaica pretty much every year. So Jamaica is my go-to, but outside of Jamaica, yeah, Venice is the place.
Oh, okay. Right. So if you would say that the person that's been the most influential in your life, who would it be?
Outside of, and I'm not, this isn't trite or being just giving you the simple example, really, but outside of the Lord and the influence that He's had on my life, and there have been many, primarily because I always say this, that primarily there were numerous situations in my life where the Lord could have cut me down. He could have shamed me. He could have brought the things that I was doing and done to the fore, and He never did it. And He still continued to bless. So apart from that, the most influential, there've been so many, really. My mother, I'd have to put right up there, because the experience I'm going to share with your listeners today is because of her. And she's passed away now. She lived a good old age of 101.
Wow.
Wow.
And she has been the staying force of pretty much everything that's happened in my life. And I've tended, I don't want to sound like a mama's boy, but when things went wrong, that's where I ran to. So, she's been the rock over all my life, pretty much.
Okay. That's good. Right. So let's jump into it. Now, I know that you have not been well. Yeah. And you've kind of come through the other side. But could you just kind of take us back so we can have an understanding of what was going on and how you dealt with it? And one question before you start: Are you an optimist? Are you somebody who, when things are going wrong, you just say, you know what, it's going to work out? Or are you kind of the other way? How do you put yourself?
I'm a strong optimist. I'm a strong optimist, but it's my optimism is embedded with prayer. So, I can't see them being separated from each other. Both myself and our family have been through some very, very difficult moments.
Sure.
One that comes to mind is when Anson was just born. Anson was born in 1991. When Anson was not too old, we almost lost our house. So I was getting the letters saying that they were repossessed, and all the stuff that you get, and the stresses that we went through at the time. And I was planning at that time, should they repossess, that Blossom and Anson would go back to Nottingham and stay in Nottingham, and I would stay in Manchester and rebuild. And I remember driving down Talbot Road and screaming to the Lord about why, how, what does this mean? And the situation happened. I won't go through the detail of it. It spun on its head. And those moments have taught me that in the midst of despair, you've got to hold on. You've got to hold on.
That's right.
So I'm a strong optimist. I believe there's always light, if you just choose to search for it.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. So take us back, because I know that you wasn't well. Take us back to what happened before you wasn't well, and then kind of walk us through what was happening and what action you kind of took to try and get through this time.
Yeah. Feel free to interrupt me at any time, because I can ramble on for a good long while. To get in context, this happened mid 2000s, so some time ago, and I've restructured my life since. But what happened was, I had myself and a business partner just set up a business, and it was based in the centre of Manchester, and we were doing managed workspace, and it was stressful, to say the least, because the income that was generated from that obviously sustained us, but obviously we had a building that we had refurbished, and it was good, but it was a stressful time. Coupled with that, I was doing some external consultancy for an organization called Global Links, and they do work all over all over the world, but I was asked to do some work at that point in China. So I was backwards and forwards in China. We went to primarily around Shanghai and Beijing. And I was working out there, and I came back, and we're working with quite a large contingent of Chinese businesses in the UK as well. So we had a conference that was held at the International Hotel in London, and I presented at that, and then came back home. Got back home, and I started feeling really unsettled. My stomach wasn't right, and I just didn't feel well. So I booked to go and see my GP. Went to see the GP, told him what was going on. He said to me, I want you to take this omeprazole, which is, they use it for ulcers, and it's supposed to calm ulcers. So I said to him, look, if I take this, how long before it does its job and stops the pain that I was in? And he said, 24 hours, you'll be well in 24 hours. I said, and if not, he said, then come back. So I took it for 24 hours. It didn't work. So I went back, and he said to me, right, okay, what you need to do is double the dose. And I said, so let me just get this straight. So doubling the dose, you're thinking will resolve the pain I'm in and sort this out? And he said, yes. I said, and what happens if that doesn't work? He said, then come back or find yourself at A&E. So I went home, doubled the dose, took it for 24 hours. But by this point, the pain was just ramping up at a rate that I just couldn't cope. So I ended up in hospital, went into A&E, got taken in, was put on a ward, and it was a ward filled with a number of people that were either dying or were in really serious ill health. So there was a man beside me that was dying of bowel cancer. There's another guy at the other side of me. He had diverticulitis and had a foot of his bowel taken away. There was another guy at the other side with a number of issues that kept telling me that in the last year he's been in there 14 times. And there was this swell of negativity that was just filling my head, and I was in pain. The pain.
But Adrian, I was thinking,
yes.
Do you think that being in that ward has any relation to your condition? Being placed in there?
I think I work in health now, right? And my honest opinion to anybody is that the hospital is not a place to get well. You know, you go there and get treated, but it's not a place to get well. And I think I felt that it was influencing the feeling I was having about what I was experiencing. So what I decided to do, because it was a full ward, I decided to close my curtains. So I closed my curtains around my bed because I had no intention of listening or seeing these people, because I thought if I allow that negativity in, I'm gonna spiral out of control. So I shut them out, put some headphones on, listen to some music, and I just did whatever I did. The issue with my condition was that it would start at 12 o'clock every night. I'd be in a terrific amount of pain for about 4 hours, and then it would subside. And this happened every single day. So I even tried going.
Can I ask you a question? So maybe you're not able to tell me, but do you think there's a cause that brought on your
condition?
Yeah.
I believe that my condition was brought on by stress.
Okay.
I personally believe that. And why I think that is when I get stressed, the bottom of my feet start to tingle.
Wow, okay.
And it's the indication to me that my body is in a state that it shouldn't be in. And what I have to start doing is stamping my feet to try and allow whatever I'm experiencing to happen. Now, I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because I was working away in China. My business partner was running the business on her own in Manchester, and I was getting calls, and we were exchanging calls across across the world to try and resolve some of the stuff that was going on there, as well as some of the stuff that I was involved in. You know, even to the point where I was 11 hours was ahead, I think, in China, and we at that point was going through, we were submitting an investment proposal for the business. And so I would work on it in the evenings in China, email it to the UK. She would do some of the work that she was doing, and we'd bounce this across, irrespective of the work that I had to do whilst I was there. So all of this stuff was going on, and I knew I was experiencing stress, but I couldn't stop. So I needed to carry on because we needed to get that investment program sorted out.
So
the
Adrian,
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, by this time, being admitted in the hospital, do you now know the condition? Are you aware of your diagnosis?
No, that didn't know. So I was in the hospital for about 5 weeks. I lost 2.5 stone whilst in there over that period. Every single morning, I would get a group of consultants that would stand at the foot of my bed, and they would talk amongst themselves about what they think I should be doing and what they think they needed to do for me. I went through, I was prepped for surgery twice. And then
without a proper diagnosis?
No diagnosis.
So at this stage, you know, your medication being, you know, doubled, you prep for surgery, you don't know what's happening. What was going through your mind? You know, being around so many people in the hospital who is on timeout as well. What was going through your mind?
What was going through my mind initially, I didn't think that much of it, to be honest with you. I assumed that they were there to help me to get well. So their consultations were such that I thought that, you know, you're doing the best for me. But I got more concerned because one consultant said, listen, we think that he's experiencing an appendicitis and we need to get it out of there. Another consultant came on and went, no, he's not having the symptoms of appendicitis. There's something else going on. Then another consultant said, well, I'm not inclined to cut him open just to try and find out. So I kept being in this state of kind of standstill because they couldn't make a decision. But what they kept on doing was increasing my medication. So what started to happen was I was telling Edgar this some time ago. I was on 33 tablets a day in batches of 11. So I'd have 11 morning, afternoon, evening. And then on top of that, I would then be given morphine to try and manage the pain.
What determined them putting you on more medication? Was it because of high blood pressure, or what was going on with your body? Why they decided to keep?
They kept the omeprazole. So the omeprazole was part of it. The morphine was part of it. They gave me, what they said was, because I had an endoscopy, which is they push a tube down your throat and into your stomach. But they didn't tell me that I could be put to sleep. So we ended up, and the guy said, listen, we can put you to sleep now, but it's going to take too long. You know, what do you want to do? So I said to him, oh, forget it, just push the tube down my throat. So he pushed the tube down my throat, and I was sat there looking at the monitor, watching the tube go down into my stomach. And then they blew my stomach out to see if there was any indicators within my stomach that could identify that there was a problem. So I had that. Then I had an enema and another tube up my bottom. And then I had the sound one, but I can't remember the name. It's gone from me now.
Ultrasound.
Ultrasound. And
can I interrupt you a minute?
Go on.
So while all these things were happening and your medication was being increased, and obviously all these evasive
procedures.
procedures. How was he feeling?
To be honest with you, I still felt that they were still trying to fix whatever it was.
Yeah.
And so I didn't despair at that point. I did later on, but I didn't despair at that point.
The reason why I asked you is because a while back I wasn't well, and they said there was something at the back of my throat. I couldn't drink and I couldn't eat, so they did some invasive procedures where they put a tube through my nose to check, and I thought I was gonna die when they tried to do it. I thought, no, this is not natural. It's terrible. And then when I was in the hospital for one day, and I can identify, with what you're saying about all these sick people around you, and how if you don't, guard yourself, you could find yourself like, you know what, this is like, I just wanted to get out of the hospital as quickly as possible. And I kind of said to the doctor that was looking after me, just tell me whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. I'll do whatever you want. I just want to get out of here. I can't stay in this place because it's overwhelming.
And I think like myself, Adrian, someone in the chat is wondering how is it that they do so much invasive treatment without even at this stage determine a diagnosis?
Well, when they did the ultrasound, what they saw was a mass in my stomach, and in fact, this made me laugh because, and although you might think it's weird, but I'm doing the ultrasound, and the gentleman who was conducting the ultrasound, I heard him go, "Oh dear," and I said to him, "That's not a good thing to say while I'm lay on the back and you telling me." And he said, "Well, in doing that, I found out that your portal vein is blocked. So the portal vein carries blood from the intestines to the liver. Mine, and for some reason, mine is shut down. And as well as the condition in my stomach, what they identified was that I had a mass. They knew the distance that this mass was in my intestines from my mouth, and they knew the distance from where it was from my bottom. But what one consultant wasn't keen on was just opening me up for the sake of getting at this mass. So what they were trying to do was medicate me in the hope that the medication would try and deal with it or dissolve it, or I don't know. But it was something that was discussed every day. My state of mind started to spiral downwards after a while. I remember some brethren from church that came to visit me one day, and Bloss and Anson was there every day. But some brethren from church came, and their intention was to try and make me laugh. So they were there sitting around the bed and they're busting joke and they're carrying on with themselves. And I got out of the bed and I went to the bathroom and shut the door, and I sat in the bathroom. And then Bloss came and knocked on the door, and she said, "Adrian, we're going." I said, "Right, bye." And they left. Because I was in so much pain, I could not sit there and smile and laugh about it, for all their good intentions. So God bless them, but it wasn't a state that I wanted to be in. And if anybody knows me, I tend to try and, when things go wrong, I tend to retreat back into myself, and I try and manage it in my own head. And so for people sitting around doing that, that was not a good experience for me. So I found myself spiraling to a point where I couldn't manage the situation because I felt that they weren't telling me the truth. So I had trouble passing feces because of this blockage. But then because I was on this ward with people that had these really serious illnesses, that I thought I was sent there to die. So I thought, right, okay. So I remember, and I apologize for anybody, but what I'm going to say now. But I remember standing there with a young doctor and I had pooed onto a paper napkin. And he came and I dragged him into the toilet with me. And I was pointing at this saying, look, this looks like blood. And I'm going through the experiences of it. And he said, Adrian, you don't have bowel cancer. You just don't. The problem is we don't know what you've got, but you don't have this. And I said, then why am I on so many tablets? And they said, well, we're trying just to see if we can stop what's going on. I said, but how can you stop what's going on when you don't know what's going on? And he said, well, we just try, let's just give us a chance to manage it. So I remember saying to Bloss, look, I need to be out of here. I can't cope with this anymore. So Bloss, I said, go find as much painkillers as you can in the house and bring them. We had Cuprinol and goodness knows. So Blossom brought me these painkillers. And this was bad. I would never advise anybody to do this, right? So let me put that out there now. So Bloss brought the painkillers, and he took this ton of painkillers and it killed off the pain in the moment. So when the doctors came around, they prodded, oh, yeah, I'm fine, I'm good, I ain't feel no pain, yada, yada. And eventually I said, right, I'm going. And they said, you know, this ain't wise. I said, that's fine, man, I'm going. I need to go now. So they tried to sort out the pharmacy with the medication that I need to take with me, but I wouldn't wait. So I got dressed and Bloss came, jumped in the car, got home. By the time I got home, I was crawling on the floor in pain. So in the end, she took me back in. So I went back in, went back on the ward, and this whole experience started to continue. And so this went on for the weeks that I've told you, 5 weeks. I was losing weight at a rate of knots. I saw myself just diminishing as I lay there. And in the end, I said to the doctor, look, if I can get all the medication that you feel you can give me, that I can take this at home, I really don't want to be in hospital experiencing this. And so they had this conflab amongst them, and they agreed that I could, but they didn't want to discharge me. They said, you need to discharge yourself with the responsibility that we will give you the medication to take home. So I said, fine, and I came home. But to be honest with you, I thought I was dying. I really thought I was. I cannot explain the pain to you. The pain was crippling to the point where when it came on, I was on the floor on my knees, at times crying in tears with the amount of pain that I'm going through. So it will only last for 4 hours, and then it was gone. And
sounds bad.
So that got on. And then what I did was I phoned my mother, who really got angry because I hadn't told her what was going on, and I hadn't told her my experience. And then from that point on, she gave me a series of things that she said I needed to take. So one of the things she said, was only 2 things. One she said to me was, you need to go out and buy pineapple.
Is your mother a doctor, Adrian?
No, she is not, man. She is not. And some of the stuff that you mentioned.
So why did your mum know to say?
Well, my mother.
Why not something else?
My mother was a sort of unofficial naturopath. So okay. What my mother believed in, she had a book that she passed on to me when she died.
And what's the book called? What's the book
Back
called?
to Eden.
Come on now.
Okay.
So the Back to Eden was her source material for every single thing that happened.
All right.
And I'll share a quick thing with you, because I don't know what she used, but my father, when he was in Jamaica, got late onset diabetes, and he started to get gangrene up his leg. And the doctor, he got to Spanish Town Hospital, and they said, oh, listen, he's done, man. We need to take off his leg at least at the knee. And so he came on and said to my mum, listen, that's what we're going to have to do. And she said, nope, that ain't happening. So she said to my dad, listen, get yourself together, we're leaving. So that she took him out of the hospital, took him home, and treated the circulation in his leg. And she massaged his leg and gave him drinks and put things on it and yada, yada. So by the time I got to Jamaica, my father didn't lose his leg, but he lost his toe. And she said to me, better the toe than the foot, better the toe than the leg. And so I'd existed in that space pretty much all my life. So when I told Mama, and she said to me, listen, I need you to go and get pineapple. And I need you to, and she always said, always have aloe vera in the house. Whatever's happening, make sure you have aloe vera or simple Bible as we call it. And so she said, I need you to cut some leaves of your aloe vera plant, and I need you to go and buy fresh pineapple. And she said, I want you to cut the pineapple, cut the external bits off. But she said, the part I want you to eat the most is the core piece of the pineapple. So I did that, cut the pineapple, and ate the pineapple with the aloe vera. I asked her why. She said that the pineapple has this enzyme in it called bromelain. And bromelain helps the stomach with the digestion, and it's a sympathetic enzyme in the stomach. So she said, plus I need you to have the roughage that comes from the pineapple. So what she was saying was that when you eat pineapple and it strips the skin off your mouth, off your lips, she said it will have that same effect as it pushes its way through your intestine. But the aloe vera will be soothing as it comes behind it. So I did that. Now considering, and I told her all the tablets I was on, and she said, well, listen, I'm not telling you not to take them, but you need to make a decision which ones you wanna not take. So I decided to come off the morphine first, because I was having he used to give me these weird hallucinations that, frightened the life out of me. So I wanted to try and come off that first, whilst I was doing what my mom was telling me to do. So I went through that process. And to be honest with you, 3 days later, at 10 to 3 in the morning, I was awakened. I went to the toilet and I passed a mass that to this day, I don't know what it is. I haven't got a clue what it is. It had no smell. It was nothing. It was just a furry mass that was sitting in my stomach, but it was out. And from that point on, everything stopped. Amen. Absolutely everything stopped. So my mother then talked to me about a series of types of habits, because I used to eat badly. I used to eat bad food and eat whenever I want, and this kind of stuff. She told me I needed to stop doing that. My mother, for most of her life, was a vegetarian, but as she got older, she ate fish. So she told me, start taking yourself off some of these things and yada yada. So I was going through this program, but my mother also said to me, the thing that people don't consider important, I want you to place at the top of this list. And I said, what's that? She said, exercise. She said, everybody wants to treat something within their body with whatever they eat, but they choose not to exercise. So my mom lived on 7 acres of land in Jamaica. They built a house at the top of the land. And even in her 90s, my mother would walk down to the bottom of the land and walk back up every single morning without fail. I've seen that woman drop on her back on stone. I saw her fall outside the house onto the step and didn't break a bone. And so in my head, I'm thinking, well, she must know what she's talking about. So I continued this thing along with the exercise. And what I do now is I adopt all of that. And she had certain principles that she said I needed to keep in mind. She said, every disease in your body comes from inflammation. So you need to ensure that your body is equipped. So she said, you need to start taking turmeric. So I take turmeric. She said that garlic is nature's antiseptic. Make sure you got that in your diet every single day. She said, take water and water, a dash of cayenne pepper and some lemon juice every morning to alkaline out your stomach so that you can start taking food properly in it. So we have a concoction in the house now that we take every day, which is lemon, garlic, ginger. And she talks about ginger being nature's way of calming and managing the movement in your gut. So because she was trying to look after my my general, intestines and the functions around that, she was trying to ensure that I created these habits, that I did them every single day. So I do that. We have it every day without fail. I take vitamin D3 because I don't know if you heard it said that they said the second brain is in your intestines, and that's where your immune system sits. So I take vitamin D3 because we live in a climate where we don't get a lot of sun, but we need vitamin D3 to strengthen our immune system. And I exercise at least 3 times, sometimes 4 times a week, for at least an hour.
So I've got a question, Adrian. So what did the doctors say?
To be honest with you, I didn't go back. No, that's not true. That's not true. I went back to a consultant because they were concerned about the closure of my portal vein. So I went back for a consultation at Ultranum General, and they did another ultrasound. And the guy said to me, he said, your portal vein has closed, but your body has created another vein around the blockage to connect back to the portal vein to allow the blood to flow to your liver.
Wow.
So I said, praise God. But what he then said was, listen, I'm a bit concerned that if you have any internal bleeding, you won't feel it. But if you start vomiting up blood or this kind of stuff, then here's my personal mobile number for you to ring, and I will get somebody to you immediately. I took his number, I put it in my pocket, and I said to my head, I will never ring you because I will never need to ring you.
Okay.
And I was gone. And I never went back. And I wouldn't advocate that people do this, right? This is just my method of coping.
Of course.
I never went back. I tied myself completely to what my mother had told me. And I lived in the belief of hope that things would consistently get better. Okay. And the only thing as a byproduct of that experience now is that I became lactose intolerant, and that's it.
And how many years we're talking about, Adrian, now?
17 years ago.
Amen.
17 years ago.
That's very good.
So what I have done is allowed for those experiences to continue a part of my life. What I would say to anybody, is don't wait for these situations to happen before you start implementing some of the regimes that our body needs to have in place to keep us healthy. And I know that generally people don't want to take, when you were saying this, just Jonathan, that when on the program that you guys ran, that people started doing exercise, I would say to you, exercise is a crucial bit to all of this. And so it's something that I've implemented now, and I do religiously. If I can't get out, because I work away quite a lot, if I can't get out, I'll do it in my room. I'll walk. I'll do anything as long as I can put some exercise in place for at least an hour in any given day to ensure that I stay healthy.
It sounds to me as though you believe in New Start, and we promote that all the time. Yeah.
Well, the thing about it, Edgar, is that I think my mother believed in New Start.
Yeah.
But this was before it was New Start.
That's right.
We had a thing in the house where when I was 16, I'm close on 50 years on from that now. That my mother believed that she said, right, we're not eating meat in the house anymore. And we all like, our arms were up in there. What on earth is going on? So she implemented that, and we started a whole program. And I still eat meat. I do eat meat, but what we do in the house now, we tend to focus primarily on fish than anything else. But my mother started a regime that has stayed with me for many, many years now, and I will never, ever give that up. I went to Jamaica to celebrate my mother's 100th birthday, and she was up walking. We took her away, took her up to the North Coast, up just outside Boscobel. She was walking and enjoying herself at 100 years old.
Wow.
And so if that's a testimony that I want to look at as far as my life is concerned, then that is something I think that's commendable. So she lived the life that I now want to try and emulate.
Amen.
Sounds really,
Amen.
really.
Amen.
Thank you. A wonderful testimony. I mean, I sat down and listened to this testimony a couple of months ago, and I was like, wow, this guy's got to come on my program or on our program, because I think the testimony is absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to
I take it as well, Edgar. This is a shorter version.
Well,
Right, Adrian.
Edgar got everything, Jonathan. Edgar got the physical as well as the spiritual stuff.
right, yeah.
Because my mom was a strong spiritual woman, and that was the golden thread that ran through her. And I've seen Amos that popped up on this call, and Amos's mother is very similar to my mom, in as much as they were close friends. And they shared these experiences across each other. So I grew up in this environment, but it was what I was saying to you earlier when you talked about, being optimistic, and I said, yes, I am, mixed with prayer, because my mother had this life that I realized, as much for all the things I know, I did not understand fully this aspect of faith. And that's what drove me to closer and closer to her. And so when she says to me, do this, I'm doing it, man. I ain't questioning it. Because doctors have tried, I had 4 or 5 consultants around my bed, for the good part of 5 weeks, and none of them could figure out what was wrong. So when she said, do that, and it took her 3 days to resolve this, 3 days, that I'm thinking, well, whatever she says, I'm going to do. So I live my life now.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. What I'm going to do now is I just want to say hi to all the YouTubers, because there are some people on YouTube listening to this, and I believe they're receiving a blessing. But I'm going to open the floor up. I don't know if any of the viewers on Zoom have got any questions that they'd like to ask Adrian. And also to those on YouTube, Sharon's, and I'm sure Shirley is monitoring the YouTube. If you've got any questions, if they just want to pass it on, and I will ask Adrian for you. But is there anybody on the floor that has a question for Adrian? If so, just unmute and we'll take your question. We'll just do this for not long, just a little bit. I'm just wondering if anybody's got any questions or comments that they would like to make for Adrian now.
I think I've out-taught them.
Maybe they're just blessed by what they've heard. They're in awe. They can't.
I hope so.
They can't speak. They can't speak.
Mm.
And I mean, while somebody's thinking, maybe somebody's thinking, you know what, I am going to take that challenge. I am going to ask him a question. But I would say I can identify with you, because as I said before, when I was in hospital, I just wanted to get out of that place. I thought, this is so, and there were people around me that were making up noise. And then when I was like just about to fall asleep, the nurse would prod me and asking you, what's going on? I can't get better in this environment. It's hard work.
Yes, it
I
is.
just wanted to get,
So prevention is better than cure, Edgar.
yeah.
Well, let me just mention something that you've said there, Jonathan, because and just supporting what you said, Edgar. I work in the NHS now, right? And a lot of the work that we're starting to do with some of the public health directors and our directors around nursing and general medical director in particular, is looking at how communities can become what we call self-directed. So what that means is, how do you stop people arriving at the front door of A&E? Because A&E at this present moment cannot cope. All hospitals cannot cope with a barrage of people coming at them. The answer is prevention. And we are now working with voluntary sector organizations, local authorities, people generally around in the community to try and put in what we call health connectors into the community, and also community connectors. So we're bringing communities together to start having this open discourse around how can you be encouraged to start taking responsibility for your own health. Because the hospitals and the NHS, the model no longer works because there are too many people living in our areas for what it was developed for. So when you mentioned prevention better than cure, Jonathan, this is a principle now within the health economy that we're looking at. How do we encourage communities to take better charge of their health? And I would encourage you guys to start considering and engaging with some of the external, what might be external to this health sector, to start looking at these kind of programs where people can be encouraged to look at their diet, look at their lifestyles, look at the habits that they might be doing that will not and does not promote good health, and look at what you guys are doing as a vehicle to try and aid and support that. Because the NHS now is looking out for people like you to say, right, what programs can we start running in our communities to help people to start thinking differently about their health? And they call them communities of practice.
Sure. I think it's very, very interesting because over the last few months, I don't know if you know Joan Cornwall, which is Shirley's mother, Jonathan's mother-in-law. She's been running programs in Manchester with regards to teaching people to become medical missionaries and understand their body so that they can have better health, but also, as long as it's not too serious, that you could actually help yourself. I mean, there's a book, and I'm not sure if it's Back to Eden, but if it's not Back to Eden, it's another book where it says to be your own doctor. Understand your own body, because nobody knows your body like you do. Nobody knows the pain that you're going through. And sometimes the problem that we find is, if we look back at what we were doing, we actually would know the reason why we have the problems that we have. And then once you understand that, then you can put in principles, godly principles that can actually help to restore yourself back to health. And it sounds simple, but God uses simple things.
Yeah. I agree with both of you, Edgar. And sometimes some of the articles that I read on BBC, I'm thinking, but these are the very things that we're teaching, such as the NHS is coming out with saying to people that they need to go for walks, they need to go for a walk after meal. Today I was reading an article that come out of a study that they do talking about how the cold temperature, the effect that you have on the body. And, some of the solution that they're recommending is to dress warm, cover the longer limbs. But I'm thinking these are the very things that we are, advocating here. So
I want to put a challenge to you guys, yeah. And it's about reaching a wider audience, because I work with a good friend of mine, Gary, who lives in Jamaica now, and he was the first person I really saw medical missionaries done well, you know, and advocates it by the lifestyle that he lives. And whenever we were in Jamaica, we tended to spend a good amount of time with Gary and Jennifer and live those principles. But the challenge I would want to put to you, you know, is that the underlying health principles that are tied to what you do are aspects that of health that are necessary. The moment you put God into the equation in the conversation, it turns a lot of people off. And institutions that might want to work with you wouldn't work with either a political or religiously focused organization. So I would put a challenge out there about engaging with institutions on the principle of health, So to reach people who are desperately in need of the programs that you guys run, and allow them to gain access to it, but not necessarily push the agenda about, you know, the spiritual aspects and God aspects of that. And some people might disagree with me, you know, but what I'm seeing is exactly what you mentioned, Jonathan, that what's being advocated now within the realms of health is what's been told of us many, many times and many years before, you know, about how we eat, what we eat, when we eat, exercises we take, you know, looking after our bodies generally, you know, those kind of things are principles that we have known. But now stones are crying out that are mentioning these things, and we've known this for years. So it is something about how wide you might want to push this, and the conversations that you might want to have with external organizations.
I think it's very essential for us to find ways of blending the two without, as you said, having one focus or make it seems to be that we're only dealing with the spiritual. We know that they're inseparable, but we have to give the health work an opportunity to do its work, so the spiritual can follow as it opened that door. And I think sometimes that's where we fail. We want to open the door with the spiritual, you know, but I think we need to use the right arm. And I think I understand exactly where you're coming from.
Because we're, you know, I work out in Blackpool and I work out of Warrington, and there is a search on for health-based organizations because people are suffering. You know, I go into communities where people are suffering, and simple adaptations to their lifestyle could save their lives over the long term. But they just don't know it. And they rely on the GP, or they rely on, you know, whatever health practitioner to try and inform them about what's happening. Whereas the vehicle that I see you guys promoting is something I think that people need to hear, you know, that can change their life. And then I think that once you see the life change and people know the point of reference from where you're taking this, that the spiritual will follow. I just think, you know, we might just need to adjust our thinking a little bit.
Thank you very much.
A challenge I want to put out to you guys.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Edgar.
Sharon's got a few comments from YouTube. What have you got?
Okay. Hi, everybody. So there's been some supportive statements from health reformers, the same person you mentioned earlier. Well, I'm assuming it's a team, but it could be Joan or Lucille or Pastor Sam. But it says the medical missionaries within the community will support the work of prevention as well. And she also says it's all about promoting the 8 laws of health, which are also known as the 8 doctors. And she goes on to list them: nutrition, exercise, water, sunlight, temperance, air, rest, and trust in God. These are the 8 laws of health. The NHS and scientists realize that these are essential to promoting better health. And I've included with this is benevolence and positive thinking. I suppose that ties in with the optimistic theme. And then, oh, there's more. I agree with you, Adrian. Health is the entering wedge. We approach the person. Oh, she's going. You approach the person to help with their health condition first. And if they want to engage, the tap, please. And if they want to engage in conversation from a spiritual point of view, we help. And then she says the health conference held in Wales is a great approach. So if you just turn off the tap. The challenge for you, help us with helping in the community. This is a challenge for you, Adrian. Help us with helping the community. And she says, yes, it's Joan with a big cheesy grin.
Yeah, I'm happy to because that's what I do now. You know, I do it, although it's not in Nottingham, you know, but I'm doing it in Blackpool. And the principles are the same. I think the beauty about what you guys have is the conference. So you bring all these kind of disparate voices together in one place with the opportunity to give them the message. But how beautiful it would be to be giving them the message throughout the whole year and then bring them together. So the principles that we're using is a kind of 8-stage principle about getting, and there is no need to worry about money. You know, there's money out there to do this. You know, about getting what we call community connectors, which bring people together, health connectors, creating hubs in communities where people meet on the basis of health. You know, so we're starting that journey now, and that principle, without boring you about how the health sector is structured the same wherever you go in its regions. So you will have one for the East Midlands, what we have in the Northwest. And they have to operate the same because that's what the Department of Health has said. So it's there, the framework's there. The next step is how do we engage and what do we do? And I'm happy to help anybody really that wants to do that.
So now you know, Adrian, you've got the workers. So the challenge is for you. So I suppose we'll
the workers aren't few,
I suppose we'll have to speak some more regarding that.
I think we do need to speak some more, and maybe we can do a bit of collaboration to get something going. But I really appreciate you coming on, Adrian. Although I've asked if anybody's got any questions, it would seem as though there isn't any questions, and maybe they've just been listening and taking in what you've had to present on your way back to health. And thank you for that. So I don't know if you've got anything else to say, Jonathan, but I think we're going to close. If
I'd just like to say thank you, Adrian. Thank you for your testimony. I listened keenly, and we thank God for the life of your mother, and long may her legacy continues. And we look forward to doing some collaboration with yourself. You know,
happy to do that.
I'm a great advocate, and I always say, for those who know me, these guys, I always say there are some simple things that we do know, and people are dying every day who don't have these basic knowledge we have. Sometimes we would be amazed to know that every year the amount of people die from a common cold, you know, and we have that information that can help them. And sometimes we fail believing that, you know, we don't have great knowledge, but these are simple basic principles that we can help people with. I mean, like you pointed out, who would have thought a simple aloe vera and pineapple could have done the trick, you know? But I do believe somehow a sense that you probably had mucus, mucus plaque. line your colon, and it probably dislodge itself and stuck and form that big mass inside your colon. That's my assumption. I could be wrong.
Yeah, whatever it was, Jonathan, I put it down to the guidance of a godly woman and the power of a God, you know. So wherever we went with that, you know, I'm just happy to be out on the other side, to be honest with you, because I did think I was dying. So
and
you know,
17 years on, you're still here.
Yeah.
Have you had any issues since?
Not with that, not with my stomach. But I have a protein in my blood, so my blood clots very quickly. I won't explain what all that's about, but I had 2 episodes where I collapsed, and once in the gym with my son, once in work, ended up in hospital. But again, that was some years ago, and it settled itself down. So the doctor the doctor said to me, I should be glad that I'm alive, because on those 2 occasions I could have been dead. So I look back that my life as I have it at this present moment is a blessing. So I hold on to every aspect of it. And
there's a work left for you to do, Adrian.
Yeah, I truly believe that.
Yes,
I truly believe that.
I think so. Right, I'm gonna just share, and thanks again, Adrian, for that testimony.
Pleasure, man. Pleasure.
I know we've had no comments, no questions, but if there's anybody there that have appreciated Adrian's testimony, if you could raise your hand so I can see it. You don't have to say, but I just want to see if somebody would raise a few hands to say yes. I've been blessed by the speaking today. That would encourage me to say that I'm going in the right direction. And thanks again, Adrian. Thank you.
Pleasure, man. Anytime. Thank you.
Don't worry. I will be calling you again. Don't you worry.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm in and out of Nottingham, probably not as much as I used to be, but whenever I'm there, I'll give you a shout and let you know. And I always want to hook up with Amos. So
please
just before you go, Adrian and Edgar, I can see a lot of hands going up now, Edgar. So I don't know.
Well, I'm hoping we're going in the right direction. I hope so.
Or you've got time to squeeze in 1 or 2, because I see a lot, Edgar.
No. It's not questions. I just said if anybody was blessed by the presentation.
All right.
I don't want you to speak, but would you raise your hand? And people have raised their hand. If somebody wants to speak, I'm happy to allow you. You can unmute and say something. I've got no problem with that. But if you are, then you have to do it quickly. We're wrapping up now. Right, so I've not heard anything. I'm just going to go to share my screen. I want to promote this again. We're promoting our website, truetemperanceinternational.org. As you see, as it's spinning around, it's promoting that one's balance, temperance. This one's nutrition, and this one's Adrian's favorite, the cycles, exercise. We've got water. Everybody needs water.
And the water, man. We need to drink more water.
Yeah, man. And some people say, but it's okay, Adrian. I drink tea. I drink coffee.
No, it's not the same.
It's not the same. It's not the same. Anyhow, you put something in the water, it's not water anymore. Would you agree with me?
I would agree.
Right. So we need to be having, it's the water that flushes the system. We use so much water. We use water when we eat. We use water when we speak. We use water when we go to the toilet. When we cry, you know what I mean? We use so much water. And then some people say, you know what? All I'm going to do is have 1 glass a day. How can that work? It's impossible. So we need to replenish our system. And it's the water that actually detoxifies you. So you need your water. My favorite, the sunshine. Man, we don't get that much sunshine in England, but we need it. Just excuse me, I think I'm running out of power. So rest. Who doesn't need rest? We need rest. Rest for the system, you know? So I'm just promoting the website. It's there. If you think you can get something on there, we're going to put our recipes on there as well for the website that you can do. Please, there'll be a chat on the website as well. Please subscribe. And if you have a problem or you have a question, put it on the website. We have a chat, and we might not be able to come back to you straight away, but we will come back to you. Just leave us your email and we will come back to you. That's TrueTemperanceInternational.org. Yeah, please subscribe. Remember, we've got the YouTube channel. So even this recording today, if you give it a couple of hours, you'll be able to access it and share it with somebody. We want to share the blessings with people. And then the third thing that I want to promote is Kefin Lee for 2023. Last year we did it, went very well. We had 250 people come, praise the Lord. And we even had people that come for day visits. That went very well. And we're expecting the same again this year. We've got a good lineup. Manon Wilson, Sam Davis, all the different workshops, and the price is a reasonable price. I'm not going to talk about the price, but if you go on the website, it's all there. If you want to book, that's fine. And if you want to leave us a message on the website, again, you can leave your email address and you have the details. That's the poster. You can see there's a number there. You can call a mobile. And also you've got the AH Reformers website as well. So you can contact them and we will send you out a registration form or booking form. So at that, we're going to call it a day. Thanks again, Adrian, and God bless you. And we will talk. I'm sure we will talk.
By the way, Edgar, there are a couple of other books that, away from Back to Eden, there are a couple other books, one that we bought in Jamaica about God's vineyard, and another one about natural remedies. I'll text them to you. People want to see if they can get hold of those, because those are the basis of other things that I've used over the years.
Yes, please. Yes, please do that. We're going to sign off on YouTube in probably 30 seconds. So all those on YouTube, thank you for joining us. I hope that you've been blessed, and we will speak to you very, very soon. We're going to sign off. I think Sharon's just got something she wants to say, so I'll just move out the way.
So I'll just turn this thing. Thank you so much, Adrian. You really put a different twist on what we normally do, because usually we challenge the viewers, and today you have challenged us. Now, what can I say? We've got to be able to do this. We can work together and we can take this message to the people who need it. To be honest, everybody needs it. We need it as well. You know what I'm saying? None of us are perfect. We all need it. So we can learn together and hopefully win more people, more souls for the kingdom in ways that they would never have imagined coming to get to know our Lord and Savior. The last seasons we had was Fearfully and Wonderfully Made. And we went through all the different body systems. Know Your Body was the subtag. So Fearfully and Wonderfully Made, Know Your Body. And it sounds like you have got to know your body as you were going through the testimony. So thank you so much for the challenge.
It's been a pleasure.
And thank you so much for your testimony. Thank you also, those of you who have been watching on YouTube. We've seen some comments, some questions. People have been raising their hands as well to say they appreciate what they've heard, and they're praying for you, as praying for the ministries, the various ministries. So thank you, everybody. It's been wonderful. Any closing comments, Adrian?
No, the only thing I would say is that I would never, I had a great boss many years ago, and he said to me, don't Don't. He said, if you look at something long enough, you'll find something wrong with it. He said, so if you're going to suggest something, offer solutions, not just problem.
Okay.
So what I've suggested to you is not something that is, vacuous. I'm not saying to you, go and do this. I'm saying to you that if you choose to move in that direction, I'm happy to help. That's what I'm saying to you.
Thank you. Okay. And on that note, we will not be on next week. We're doing it in a 2-week cycle. And so we'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll have another inspiring speaker.